What's up, my freaky peer family? Hope everybody's having a great night. We're going to start a new section of the channel. I think we'll call it Cryptid Spotlight, maybe. A Cryptid Creature Spotlight. Who knows? Where I'll try to introduce you to a new cryptid that maybe you've never heard of before. Or some you have. Some of our favorites. Dogman, Sasquatch, stuff like that. But the first one is going to be something a whole lot different. It's called the Aversboro Gallinipper. The Aversboro Gallinipper is a giant mosquito, reportedly as large as a hawk. The sting it carries on its head could slice all the way through a man's arm. A bite from the Gallinipper could mean death. The mosquito could drain all the blood from a man in a single gulp. More than the alligators, more than the bears, more than the panthers that hid in the trees, the lumbermen who worked the swamps of North Carolina feared the Gallinipper. The legend of the Gallinipper originates around the now abandoned town of Aversboro. However, many coastal towns in North Carolina have similar versions of the story, including the state's oldest town, Bath. The earliest accounts of a giant mosquito come from the local American Indian traditional mythology. Only a cemetery surrounded by a grove and a Civil War museum remind anyone passing through that the port town of Aversboro ever existed. According to Monsters of North Carolina by John Hare, the town's property records of the 1850s reveal that 13 of the 14 public buildings in the town sold liquor. According to tradition, one of the town's taverns had the skeleton of what looked like a large flying animal suspended from the ceiling, its bones carefully wired together in a job that would have made many a museum curator proud. The skeleton had originally belonged to a large bird, perhaps a tundra one, Singus columbianus, which the proprietor or one of his friends had killed on a hunting excursion to the Outer Banks. Someone had removed the beak from the skeleton and replaced it with a long, scrimshawed piece of bone that tapered to a point like a large needle. Around the neck of the trophy hung a wooden plank upon which someone had roughly inscribed the words, Aversboro Gallinipper. This trophy was meant to remind visitors that swarms of mosquitoes so large they were mistaken for birds. Belief in large mosquitoes was so widespread that the workmen cutting timber along the Cape Fear kept a wary eye out for the creatures. Tuscarora and Iroquoian origins. The Tuscarora were an Iroquoian people that were originally from the area south of the Great Lakes in the present-day New York. Around 500 CE, they began migrating out and settled in North Carolina. The powerful Tuscarora nation blocked colonial expansion toward the Piedmont and south to Cape Fear, so most members of the tribe left North Carolina following their defeat in 1715. Tuscarora chief Elias Johnson, an 1800s chronicler of his tribe's history and lore, wrote of a mosquito as large as a man called Roteo, stating it flew about with vast wings, making a loud noise with a long stinger, and on whomsoever it lighted, it sucked out all the blood and killed him. Many warriors were destroyed in this way, and all attempts to subdue it were in vain. Eventually, the creature's heart was pierced by an arrow, and it spawned the numerous small mosquitoes that inhabit the world today. The Carolina Cherokee have a version of the Tuscarora Roteo myth. However, in their version, the creature is a giant yellow-jacket wasp called Ulagu. The Cherokee stated that Ulagu was large enough to swoop down and pick up children and carry them back to its lair, a cave in western Northern Carolina called Tuscagony, meaning where the yellow jacket was. James Mooney wrote of the legend, stating, "The hunters built fires around the hole so that smoke filled the cave and smothered the great insect, and multitudes of the smaller ones escaped and increased until now yellow jackets, which before were unknown, are all over the world." In both the Tuscarora and Cherokee stories, smaller modern insects were created when the giant one was killed. Aversboro encounters. In 1855, a lumber worker named Red Saunders was reportedly stung by a gallinipper. However, some versions of the story claim that the giant mosquito bite was actually caused by a hot coal. Irish immigrants to the Cape Fear region are also reported to have seen giant mosquitoes in the 1850s. Well, I hope you guys learned something. Hope you enjoyed that. As always, I'm Beer the Great White. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Let me know what you think of the new segment. If you want to join this freaky little fear family, click that sub button. Don't forget to hit the little bell if you want to get notified when new videos drop. As always, I'm Beer the Great White. I love you all. I'm out. Bye.